Oh, we are live. So welcome. Hey, it's Tamika of Inspire Teach E. So today I'm just representing Inspire Teach E, which is a sales and marketing consulting company that also does coaching. And we're doing the Firestarters podcast. We're kicking it back off for 2025. If you remember, sorry, I should silence this, but Gary is running a little behind or he doesn't know where to be. So forgive Gary for being late, but he's the one who has a success story for us. So 2025, it's been 2 years since the first podcast. It was actually in April, which was the Firestarters podcast, where we're just going to have spicy conversation. And John is new to the bunch, but Gabe was there the first time around. He popped in during his work time, and then we had Gary, who's joining shortly. So, gentlemen, I'd like you guys to introduce yourselves and include your dating profile with this introduction. Okay, we'll do it like we did it last time.
That's funny.
Who wants to go first?
Hey, I laid off to Gabe since he was on here before. I'm the new guy, so
You're the new
Okay.
guy.
All right.
guy on the podcast.
So my name is Gabe. I'm currently at work. You might hear some stuff in the background, so just disregard. My apologies for that. So I first met Tamika. It was actually somebody that left a comment on Kendra G on the little comment section, and I don't know if it was me or her, but somebody responded to somebody's comment, and we added each other as friends, and we've been cool ever since. So
Very cool.
yeah, it's been interesting. Right now I am trying to figure some things out. I've done some international traveling, and I am basically just exploring what else is out there. So right now it's just I'm in no hurry. I am
You're not
45
selling
years
yourself very well. I'm sorry. What kind of dating profile is this? Come on now,
old.
Gabe.
No,
You don't want to be with. You don't want. Oh, I'm like, I can't
well,
pimp this. I can't pimp
I'm
this.
trying to. I'm more or less trying to drop knowledge, if anything, more so than
Okay.
trying to make myself
yourself
look
out
good.
there. Gotcha.
But yeah, 45 years of age. I've never been married. I don't have any children. So yeah,
That's Gabe, y'all.
that's
That's what Gabe's starting us off with. I'm gonna kick it on over to John. Come on, John. Give it to us.
So I'm John Richardson. I met Tamika when I was at one of my frat brothers events, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity event. And then I said, hey, you seem cool and we're business minded. I wanted to connect with a couple people. Someone that I was talking to at the time said, hey, I said to myself, hey, I want to connect you, to help people out. Cause that's what I do. I help people out. And I invited her to our Founders Day event as well, inviting a lot of people to that. But Tamika, just been a good friend to me overall. And at the end of the day, I'm 40, single, got a 4-bedroom. I need to fill this up with kids eventually, but I'm not gonna. But hey, no rush, right? But at the end of the day, I own a financial services and insurance agency, and I just give back to the community by teaching them what generational wealth is. As in the Black community, there's 0% generational wealth within Cook County, even though we're the largest Black populace in the county of the U.S. And just trying my best to help people out. I have 0 kids, and I'm looking forward to just seeing what's out there and what's for me. I know that whatever is out there for me is for me. I've been through trials and tribulations, and I learned from them. And I'm here to talk more about what I've learned now that I'm in my about mid-year of 40. So
Okay. And so I am also in my 40s, and I I'll say what I said the first time we did the podcast. I think there's still pee in the water, and I struggle with dating. Since that first podcast, I've had a couple, like, no official relationship, but I've dealt with people, some longer than others, and I am dating intentionally, and I want to set a good example for my kids. That is the primary reason why I've put myself out there, why I have these conversations, why I'm doing this to help all of us who feel whatever type of way we do about modern dating now, right? So with that said, I think the gentleman did a good job letting us know kind of where their head's at. So Gabe just wants to help other people. We all actually want to help people. I think John and I, it sounds like we're open to the idea because John wants to have kids. Ladies, both of these men don't have children and they're in their 40s. Like, I feel like they're hot commodities. I think it's hard to find a man that doesn't have kids. Because I know men tell me all the time, it's hard to find a woman who doesn't have kids. And sometimes I'm like, so does that make me less because I have children? No, it doesn't. But anyway, these are the things that dating in your 40s kind of brings about. And so I sent them a list of questions, but Gabe gave us some new topics to talk about. But I'm still going to go ahead and ask, like, you know, because this one baffles me the most. And the way I'm going to preface it, I didn't really give Gabe good prep. John and I already talked about this a little bit. But my question, oh, no. Guess what? Our success story is here. So we're not even going to get into the question. Gary, you're late to the party, but that's okay because you're my success story. So I can't ask you what your dating profile is, but actually go ahead and tell us what your dating profile however we want to phrase this. Go ahead. Introduce yourself, Gary.
What do you mean? Like, as far as my dating profile?
Like, remember when we first started and I was like, what do you like? And you were like, I like women who are in shape and that take care of themselves and all that.
Yeah. So as far as dating goes, I like someone that has a similar lifestyle to myself. So I work out probably around 5 to 7, depending on what the program is. And so for that, I like someone who takes care of themselves. And it's not so much that you have to be in tip-top shape or anything, but I correlate physical fitness with mental fitness as well. So if you're really taking care of yourself, it could ease stress, and it might like kind of cut down, not so much on vices and things of that nature. So, but as far as working out, I like effective communicators. I like someone that, because a lot of times in relationships, you might have to be with somebody that you have to pry to understand what's going on. And I'm not a really big prior in that aspect, but I like that sense of humor, intelligence, because I really feel as if a lot of times people lead with the aesthetic of how someone looks. And as I always like to say, how you look gets you to the door, but your personality gets you inside the house. So for that, that's typically what I like to go for.
Okay. And so I think it was 2 years ago that we started the podcast, and you were, like I said, you were among the first guests that I ever had. And he's a longtime friend of mine. We met in North Carolina. He's done a lot of great things, works in government, was on the radio. He sends me daily inspirational messages. So I've known Gary a long time. And I told him, when I asked him what was going on and how dating was going, and I got my update, I was like, so I'm going to let y'all go ahead and tell me how you would feel if your friend had an update like his. So give us your update, sir.
The update is like, I'm married.
Yay! Yes. Mission accomplished. And when did you get married?
I got married toward the end of November.
And when did you tell Tamika?
I told Tamika when Tamika reached out. Like, I just wasn't. I wasn't. I wasn't in the,
you.
I wasn't in here like just handing out information. Also, because the ceremony was super small, so there were a lot of people that I
You
wanted
thought I
to
was gonna
invite.
ask you for an invite? Like my ass can't go anywhere. I got kids. No, I'm just kidding.
Like I said, it was super small, and it was just I kept like, as you already know, my social media profile is slim to none.
Is
My
it
life
my
on
internet
social
or his?
media, and I don't really share a whole bunch.
Okay, well,
So,
congratulations.
but
Tell
also,
me.
but also, I will own the fact that you feel some type of way. So I apologize for you for not telling you and communicating that earlier. It was just like it's like one of those things where I just really don't know how to just tell it without just saying it because there's no bridge for that. Because it's like, hey, how's
There
your
is.
day
We've
going?
been friends a long time. Like
I
honestly, like I get mad at Gary if I get a annual birthday text and I get an annual, and usually I get a Happy New Year's. So sometimes if I realize, I'm like, hold up, I didn't get my annual. That like it may not be an annual, but shit is big news. I'm like, come on, friend.
like I said, I will own it because it wasn't like I wasn't
And
posting and spreading the news or anything like
women
that.
need hope for love. I was like, yay, somebody did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we in these streets, like, God damn it. Like, where are these men at? I know a few, but like they're my friends, they're my homies. Like, I don't know.
Right.
So you could have shared a little inspiration. Just saying.
I didn't know you needed inspiration. I didn't know you needed
You
relationship
send them every
inspiration.
day, Gary.
No. I said relationship inspiration. That is
I need it
different
all.
from the regular
Give it
inspiration that's sent
all. Give it
out.
all.
I got it. I got it.
You got the memo.
I got it. I wrote it down.
So, okay, so you just described, what your dating preferences were
Mhm.
when we were talking about it. So does she check all the boxes? Hype up your wife. Come on, hype her up.
She has to check all the boxes. Like this
Right?
isn't like I
You
wasn't.
didn't make any like compromises in what you wanted.
I mean, there's always compromises in any relationship, but as far as for me, I wasn't roaming the streets being like, oh man, I really need to go find me somebody because it's getting that time. It wasn't it wasn't that like I always wanted to be married, but I also wanted to follow the process of like getting married and doing it the right way because I know sometimes well the right way for me, and for me it was allowing the process to play out because as my mother would always tell me, you got to go through a lot of trash before you find your treasure, and for that it's a lot of times where you meet somebody and on like the lower end of the scale you meet somebody and it just doesn't work out and you're disappointed because you go into a first date and you want the relationship, you want it to blossom or at least the hope of blossoming, and then and then you progress and then you go out with somebody and it's really vibing, and then something, the rubber meets the road, and it's something about that just you're not vibing, so then you got to deal with that. And then also on the longer end of the spectrum, you might be dating somebody for a while and you see marriage as a possibility, and then something that bumps up against your deal breakers just exposes itself, and then you have to say, and it's always tough, but for me, I always followed that process. So no matter how many times like I met a woman and it just didn't work out, I just chalked it up to the game. And that's just what it is. And I think sometimes a lot of times people put so much hope and emphasis on like this, I think this is the one. And when it's not the one, they get severely disappointed. And you can't allow that to damper your ultimate goal, because a lot of times the things that I read and I have to remind myself sometimes is whenever you start anything you have to keep the end in mind. And
Right.
sometimes we get really bogged down by the process itself that goes on, and we don't keep that end in mind. So yeah.
I like that. Keep the end in mind. All right, so gentlemen, he's the success story. Hearing that, and for Gabe, so Gabe shared that he's more on here for knowledge. He's not like he's open but not actively searching. Is that fair to say, Gabe?
Yeah.
No?
Fair.
Okay. And then John is like, he's got a 4-bedroom home. He wants to build a family. He wants to build a legacy. He works in finance. He wants to share his knowledge, not just with people around him, but he wants to build with somebody. So gentlemen, now that we've heard the success story and kind of how he approached it, do you have any thoughts on that? How are you feeling after hearing all that? No takers.
I mean, first off, congratulations. It's always good to hear success stories. I didn't catch your age, by the way.
45.
45. Okay, that's the same age that I am. Okay, it gives me hope. You have kids?
No.
No. Okay.
Do you want kids, Gary? I forgot.
I do. It was always a willful decision because it was
Denise,
one of those
right?
things where
Gary and Denise.
it was like I wanted to be married before I had kids, and no offense to anybody that has kids like not being married, but like for me that's what I wanted to happen. So again, that was part of my process as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway would be the fact that the word compromise was mentioned, and even though she checked off all of his boxes, like the needs, there's going to be things in the relationship that they're going to have to compromise on, and that's going to be the biggest thing in their marriage that is going to take them a lot further. There might be some things that he's all about, that he values, that she might not be about, and so they're going to have to meet somewhere in the middle. And if they have the ability to do that, without any tension or any ill wills or hatred, then you got a good relationship. So it's all about the foundation. Once the foundation is laid and that's solid, then anything else could work itself out. So I think you're off to a good start. It's the beginning. That's always the best part. Is you're still in the honeymoon stage. Everything's fresh. But yeah, hopefully you'll be one of those guys that's 10, 15, 20 years later, you're still married and you're telling us stories about what's going on with you. And
can we claim it for him? Why is it a hopeful? Come on, he waited this long. He waited till he's 45. Come on, where's the optimism? Can I be Pollyanna in this situation? Jeez, it's a success story.
But yeah, congratulations on that, and I'm looking forward to hearing more stories in the future, and hopefully.
And Kendra G had nothing to do with it, That's why Gabe and I didn't work out. No, I'm just kidding. All right, John, what are your thoughts?
I mean, congrats on that, and I'm listening to you and getting a better understanding. It was like, hey, you really didn't. You've been, but you didn't break, right? And that's where it comes down to. And like for me out here dating, like I've dated for someone for like off and on for like 8 months. Now it's been like a month not having that person in my life. But what it showed me is that, hey, you see someone when you meet someone, they show you who they are, you got to believe them the first time, right? And I try my best because I'm one of those ones that's a giver, but I'm so successful that I hate to fail at anything, And so at that point, it's like, okay, best grades, best schools, athlete, top jobs, all these things. And it's like, as a man, we're like, okay, this missing piece. Hey, she fits into this missing piece. But then at the end of the day, you start seeing little things, and then you realize people that come off charming at first, and then you start seeing or knowing the red flags because you want something so bad that you don't realize that you fell into the trap of, I always call it, you find a taker that usually is a narcissist. And when you find that narcissist, you're like, oh, but there's some way to keep drawing you back, right? But it's like something is not, whether it's not the intercourse, the looks, it's something that, hey, you got to find within you to fix what's wrong with you first before you can go back out there, right? And that's what I had to realize. What was I doing to attract this same person? And it's like, I'm the common denominator here. How do I break out of this cycle when you're trying to be the best man you can be? And in my life, I don't have, how would I say, I don't have the space to choose a bad apple, because billboards, face on billboards, things of that sort, at certain levels, that woman can make or break you. And at the end of the day, you are a direct representation of her. She's the direct representation of you. And when you're out there in the public, things matter. Optics matter. Some people don't care about optics, but if you want to make it in America, you got to care about optics. And that's the way that I've always thought about it. And I commend you so much for you finding your person, because when you realize, okay, there is hope, there's possibility, those are the things you're not gonna, but it's like, I know that you had to break some of your habits, or whatever you call, I wouldn't even call them habits. I would say, for me as a person, I would call them flaws for myself, like, because I kept falling into the same trap. And, I just want to know, like, how did you break out of the mode of, okay, I kept picking something that's not right, and it came to you? Because I want to know, like, from that perspective.
Well, I think a lot of it is just dating and in general, because we go through different phases. And so what we like when we're younger might not be like what we want or like once we get older. So a lot of it is once you're dating, you have to evolve with that, because fully transparent, there are things I can be very rigid about. And so for me to be extremely rigid about those things, a lot of times won't necessarily jive. So now I have to really look within myself and say, hey, what really means something to me? And what am I not willing to compromise? And that's what I was talking about as far as deal breakers go. Because a deal breaker for me is, if any one of my deal breakers are checked, then this relationship isn't going to work out. So it really doesn't matter at what phase that the deal breaker reveals itself, but once it's shown, then this can't move forward. And you have to be honest with yourself. And it's one of those things where, yes, it does hurt and you are disappointed, because if you pour into anything, especially somebody that you're in a relationship with, it's going to hurt. And you have to like get to a point where you say like, okay, yes, I'm disappointed. Yes, this hurts, but for the greater good of everything, this can't move forward, because it's going to hold us both back. Because if you compromise on the deal breaker, then you're going to have some resentment. And then if the other person gives you what they didn't want, then they're going to have some resentment. And so then you're just living in a space that's filled with so much resentment that the relationship is, even if it does hold on, it's not going to be a very positive one. So in that, it's all right to have those deal breakers, one, but two, it's okay to say no. Like, no, I don't want to do something. No, like, and you have to be okay with that, because a lot of times people aren't comfortable saying no. My mother, she used to have this t-shirt that says, what part of no don't you understand, the N or the O? and so for that like no is a statement. It doesn't require you to further elaborate. It's just like no. If you ask somebody, because the thing is, I look at it like this. Usually if somebody asks for something, they're thinking that they're going to get a yes. So the thought of no doesn't enter their mind. So when they get no, they're like taken aback, as far as like how dare you tell me no? But no is always an option.
True.
No is always an option. It's just not an option that we like people want to readily accept. But as
So
far
how
as
often do you tell your wife no, Gary?
it depends. I'm not
His face
all
totally
green
changed.
light.
Like I tell her no.
No, I'm saying like I don't revel in the fact of saying no, but also it's not gonna always be all green lights.
Right.
And that's just in life.
How
And
long did you and it's Denise, right?
Yes.
How long did you and Denise date?
We were dating for like maybe a year and some change.
Okay.
So we were like in February we will, because we really don't know when we started dating. So
Were you guys friends first? Why is that?
no, because when you first start dating, sometimes the trend is when you find somebody, it's just like, all right, like just you pour everything into this person. But it's phases to it, because just because you meet somebody and you like somebody doesn't mean you're meant to be with somebody. So for you to get to know somebody and hanging out and things progress and you kind of see like you're on the same page, then you start dating with intention. And so once you start dating with intention, then things start to blossom, and then other things start to unfold with that. So the reason why we don't know is because we don't know when it was like we were actually official, but we do know the first time we went out on a date. So that's usually what we celebrate, is the first time we went out on a date.
Okay. So like, I love this because we're touching on, can you hear me? Can you hear my voice? Do I have sound? Okay. Because when I was talking to Gabe earlier, he said I didn't have sound with this microphone. All right. So I love this because we're touching on, if I had done the format the way John and I discussed, I would have asked some questions, and you're talking about a lot of the things that come up. Like, it sounds like you guys were dating with intention, but you just didn't know when you switched titles. Is that what it is?
Yeah, like when it was, as people like to say, official. But the thing is once we started dating with intention, we knew that we were moving and walking in the same direction. And so then when you have that, then that's when other conversations start to come up.
And so one of the things Gabe wanted us to talk about was submission. And I think we've talked about compromise. We've talked around it, like similar topics, but let's go ahead and touch on something Gabe had on his mind. So submission. So Gabe, what did you mean by that when you put that as a talking point? I can't hear you.
Okay, because you muted me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a lot of stuff going on in my background. So yeah, submission. That's like a curse word for a lot of women nowadays. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but it depends on where we're at, what we're doing.
Yeah. So as far as submission, from what I understand, this is how things kind of work. Women, they want the love, they want the raw emotions, and men, they want the respect.
Mm-hmm.
The respect translates into love for men, and the respect is things like submission, right? If there is something that a man needs or a man wants, the man would want to acquire that without any tension from the woman, right? If a man has lived the lifestyle and has relatively made good decisions all throughout his life, right? And, if he makes decisions based on the fact that he's seeing things for the greater good for his family and for the person that he's with, why would anyone want to not submit to that? You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, there's still a lot of women out here that will not be submissive at all. And a lot of it is due to, maybe their upbringing, maybe they've had,
Say that again about a lot of women. What now? Say it again. Sorry, I got distracted. Somebody's.
I said a lot of women, we're trying to figure out why they refuse to submit, even though they might witness a man that is on his shit, right? That has done nothing but make great decisions all throughout his life, and that makes decisions that puts their family in position to win.
Okay, right? Wait. So maybe my problem here is, define submission again.
Submission can be defined in a whole lot of different ways, right?
But it's important to know what we're talking about, because as a woman who's like, yeah, this submission bullshit again, go ahead and define it for me.
So submission, my definition would be, if a man wants maybe some type of assistance or maybe wants some type of cooperation, whether he can get that from the woman without any tension,
drama. Okay.
so
So
without
he
any,
needs
yeah,
no
right.
drama. Right?
And it could go into a lot of different ways. Like it could be the man being the primary final decision maker. There's a lot of decisions that will be made in a relationship, right? Some of them are very small. Some of them is like going to the grocery store and getting food or whatever. But then there's going to be decisions that are really big, such
Can
as
the man submit too, though? I guess that's the other part of this.
Yeah, because I look at that as this, when you talk about submission, I look at it as reciprocity, right? I'm pouring into you. I need you to pour that back, but I need you to do it with the same level of respect that I'm trying to give you. I need you not to balk at it when I'm asking you, because when I'm asking you as your partner, right?
Exactly. And that's why I said it's the respect thing. And you had mentioned that. It's really all about respect. And so as soon as we start to feel that we're getting that, then a lot of times that could be sufficient. We might not even want to ask a woman to do anything. As long as we're feeling the respect, we might not even need the submission, right?
So they're separate. They're separate or they're together?
The respect and the submission, they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand.
Submission is respectful reciprocity, kind of, sort of.
Submission is if I'm making a request of you, and how much teeth I have to pull in order to get that accomplished.
But that sounds like compromise to me, because if it's a request, it doesn't require submission. It requires consideration, right?
If it's a request.
You said it's a request. Gentlemen, did I hear him incorrectly?
I mean, we're not here to control you, right? That's what we're like, oh, we'll tell you something. You can do it or you don't have to do it. But it comes down to the level of respect. Do you respect your partner or do you don't respect your partner? Because when it comes down to those important things, certain things matter, right?
Married gentlemen, newly married gentlemen, tell me your take on this. Newlywed.
I will say,
if your wife had a comment, what do you think she would say? No, just kidding. Speak for yourself, Gary.
No, I would say that submission, it's a tricky thing, because I look at it almost as a blanket. So if you're talking about submission in any like arena, nobody's going to blindly submit to do anything.
Right.
And so because you're not going to blindly submit to do things, then you have to build in, to Gabe's point, respect. And respect comes over time. And with respect, there has to be trust. Because if somebody respects you and they trust you, then it's not really going to be anything. Because I look at it from a standpoint of, if you ask somebody to run through a brick wall, if they don't trust you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. But if they trust you, then they're going to do it, number one. But two, they know that they're going to be taken care of after they go through that wall, because that's the trust and the respect. Because they were like, they're not going to ask me to do something that's going to like hurt myself. So yes, I'll do it. I know I might sound a little crazy, but I'll do it. And so again, it's to get submission, there has to be respect and trust. Because if you don't have those things mixed in there, then it's just not going to work. Then to Gabe's point, there's always going to be teeth pulling, and there's always going to be friction going on. And nobody wants a relationship like that. So I personally don't. I would use respect and trust and compromise, to your point, Tamika, about those. So because if you have that, then somebody else will go along with you in what you're doing. So it's not so much, I think Gabe could get to where he wants to get to if it was more so of a free-flowing exchange. So if Gabe asked something and she was like, oh, okay, I think he would be fine with that. Instead of, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's a matter of, all this is talking about how well do you know one another, getting to know one another. And sometimes it makes me wonder, and we talk about this, generally speaking, people say, am I meeting the representative or am I meeting the person? And I really love, like, I love the letter T. So I was like, ooh, 2 T's, time and trust, respect comes with that. Then we can start talking about the S, the submission, the dreaded S word. But as a woman, I will say that we are also in this conversation about the soft women and the soft era. And I think women do want to submit. I do think we want to be soft. I do think that we want to trust you, but I don't know if people are taking enough time. We're so quick to dismiss nowadays. We're so quick to say, screw it, move on. But then we got John, who was like 8 months, 10 months. You dated your wife for over a year. I mean, I admit I'm skittish. I have my own reasons for it. I have my own traumas to heal. So if you guys were, any of you tuned into the R&B Factory, John was there. Mel and Monique Roberson wrote a book called Love Beyond 40. I actually do have the book here. And one of the things they talk about is the healing process and whatnot. But I think when it comes to this idea of submission and trust, part of me is like, if the people who know me, I like to say that if you know me, you should actually know when I'm being sincere or when I'm just saying shit for the sake of saying shit, or I'm just saying something to make you feel good because I think you need to hear it. And my real friend's like, do you want me to tell you the real truth about how I feel? Because if you didn't read it on my face, I'll tell you the real truth. Like I have one of those faces where like,
it's a Taurus thing.
It is, we got that. So I think everything you guys are saying is valid. And as someone who used to have a lot of problems with that submission word, I also have to say, as a mom now, as someone who had to remind myself, I'm still a catch, even though I have 2 kids. I might not be a catch for a guy who wants a woman who doesn't have kids. That's cool, but I'm at an age where I'm like, oh God, I am tired. Yeah, I don't want to fight either. I don't want the drama. I get what Gabe is saying when it's like, why does there have to be tension? Why can't, when John says, I didn't want her to wear that, or Tamika, don't say that because you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. I'll be like, but why should I care about their feelings? I don't know them. And he's like, it's a respect thing. And I get that. Yeah, I got to show respect to this stranger. I just, okay, I might need them later. I don't know. That's just my thought.
But I would say that what you said, as far as there being enough time, you also always have to allow things to develop, because you're really not going to see the full scope of somebody until you give it time. So I would say, I know it's probably cliche, but you should give somebody at least 4 seasons to show you who they are, because there's so much that can happen in a year. And somebody is, even the best liars or the best representatives are going to at some point show themselves.
Yeah.
And you have to allow that to develop, and you have to be okay with what you see developing, because it might not be something that you particularly want. But also and it's been my experience, no matter how strong or how accomplished or whatever a woman is, she still wants to feel like a woman. And that comes from the respect aspect, because if a woman doesn't respect you, you're going to know she doesn't respect you. And if she doesn't respect you, you're wasting your time if you're trying to get any further in the relationship. So with that, like, because a lot of times men might have insecurities about a woman being super accomplished. She might be a high-powered lawyer, a politician, a celebrity, or anything like that. And the thing is at the end of, like, when it's all said and done, like, you have to stand firm in who you are and trust who you are, but also be strong enough to be able to handle that. But also know her accomplishments have nothing to do, or is in no way slighting who you are as a man. So she can be as rich, a billionaire, or whatever it is. She still has those things that you can connect on. But you and yourself have to also be accomplished, but it also comes back to that respect. If a woman respects you, you'll know, and you'll get the red carpet rolled out for you.
Right.
But men want to rush that respect aspect. It was like, because I'm a man, she's gonna respect me. She's gonna do what I say. It doesn't work like that. It never works like that. So you have to allow things to develop and allow for her to trust you and really build in that if you're really trying to build a relationship.
I agree with you on that, but one of the hardest things that I felt like in my past relationship was that when you're pouring into somebody and you do something for them, right? And they're like, oh, do this, do this, do this, do this. But I'm got 3 million things going on, but you got your business and I have my business, but you want me to sacrifice myself to help you. But when it comes down to it, I just ask you for a little bit of things, right? And you talk about the respect thing. It's like, hey, maybe you might not want to do that. Maybe you might want, oh, you're not my daddy or all this. And you get this pushback.
Right.
You get this pushback like, whoa, like anything I tell you is always
the gender wars aspect of it, because one of the things Gabe put in the topics was gender wars. Is that kind of a gender war thing, or is it more than that, deeper than that?
I think it's deeper than that. And I think it's a gender war thing that stems from childhood. That stems on some type of trauma. Because I'm coming at you in a way of, hey, I'm just asking you to do this. And it's like, some people say, oh, it's not what you say, but how you say it. But even though you express to someone, no, I'm saying this in this way to like let you know that, hey, you can choose to do it or you don't have to choose to do it. Everything I do, say to you is a suggestion. I don't never command anything. I can't control you. That's not what I'm here to do. But when you tell someone that and they give you that pushback, you're like, something's rooted deep down in them to where, okay, you say you want me to trust you, you want to trust me, but I feel like there's something that's deeper than just us.
So if it's not gender wars, let me just put it this way. How does it have to do with maturity level or emotional intelligence? And I don't think those are the same thing. They're related, but they're not the same. Mm-hmm. Because I know some of what John's referencing, and part of me is like, some of that's maturity, but it could be easily much emotional intelligence, because John also knows someone I've dealt with where I'm like, this person's older than me, and I'm like, this is dumb. They should be more mature. So what do we think it is?
I don't think age matters in the maturity scale of things, and I tell people that. I said, you could be 26 and be more mature than a 50-year-old. And it just comes down to it, the fact of when you know what you want, and at the end of the day, when it comes to maturity, I tell people like this, and I'm not about to get into something. It's not really a gender wars, but maybe it might be the gender wars.
No, but wait, age doesn't matter when it comes to maturity, but does it matter when it comes to emotional intelligence?
Yes, it does, because you got to go through some things to get that emotional intelligence, because some things you don't know, you got to learn them. I mean, everybody's not taught charm school and Jack and Jill and all these different type of things, how to do things in public, how to speak to people. People come from diverse backgrounds, and in our community, hey, they already want to separate it. So now we're fighting an uphill battle. And when we want to break those cycles that we have, and you meet somebody that wants to, further with you. Now you're fighting the emotional intelligence aspect, but you also fight the maturity aspect of it as well. Those two things combined can make an uphill battle even harder, because we're already at a disadvantage based on who we are as people in society. And I really believe that, because, think about it. Our demographic is a single demographic, single mothers, single men. And at the end of the day, it was done that way since the dawn of the time. So we got to break these epigenetics from, hey, when the overseer wanted to, break you and embarrass you. And it's like, we get these things today. Now that I see where social media plays a role in it, I'm this modern woman, right? Oh, I want to be the boss, but I'm not gonna respect. I have no respect for them. It's like I have no respect for this guy. But then, hey, how do you want to be a boss, but you want to be a wife, and you want to be all these things, but can you have it all, right? And same thing as a husband. Like, okay, how are you gonna have it all when you need there's certain things that you need to do as a male to make a woman feel comfortable. And I think that we're farther than what our parents were at and our grandparents were at, And I think because everybody should have access to you. And the thing that I picked up with you when you said, Gary, was social media, right? I'm not on social media like that. As soon as I said that, boom, that's powerful. Because guess what? If he's not on social media like that, nobody knows his business. Tamika, you didn't know that he was married. He didn't have to tell anybody. He kept his stuff secret. It left out that influence of the outside world that wants to have their say so and their input to break us all down.
And that's actually something Mel and Monique talked about during the live podcast with R&B Factory, and it's in their book. And they actually do speak about Black love and how Black love is attacked, but we don't even have to go. We're just talking about dating in general. We have a success story here, which I'm very happy to like. What is your wedding song? I'm just curious because music helps too.
We had several wedding songs. One was when I took the garter off. It was "You Can't Touch This."
Okay, I like it.
And what was it? Because I like coming from being in commercial radio for as long as I was, like we compromised on allowing me to pretty much pick all of the songs.
Okay,
so I wanted to pick songs that were not cliche, but for the cake cutting, I picked "Computer Love."
Okay,
because we met on the app.
You did? Which app?
Yeah,
which one? Which do you recommend? Hinge?
I would say Hinge has probably the best for me. It had the best quality.
My friend who's a therapist said most of her clients, because she does a lot of couples counseling, she said Hinge tends to be the winner. Yeah. And then someone told me the bagel one. I don't remember that.
The bagel. Oh yeah, like it's for I guess like a lunch date.
I don't know. I got off all the apps. I even tried Kendra G's. When I was in Kendra G's.
How was that?
She was just starting it and there was a lot of flaws with it. And like, she wants you to do profiles. And I ended up just throwing my IG handle. And I did have one gentleman who was like, "Oh, I saw your IG handle." He seemed like a cool dude, but I'm like, some of these people, I'm like, are we ever going to get out the chat? So,
for our first dance, it was "You Are the Best Thing" by Ray LaMontagne. I'm probably butchering his name, but it's a newer song, but it has like a real old school vibe to it.
Alexa, what is it called?
Let me see. "You Are the Best Thing" by Ray LaMontagne.
Alexa, play "You Are the Best Thing" by Ray LaMontagne. Somebody.
"You Are the Best Thing" by Ray LaMontagne.
Don't do that because I gotta.
LaMontagne. I can only. I like the start. The start's good. How did you pick this? How did you pick this song?
Oh, I was just looking for songs.
It was the cake cutting song you said?
No, this was our first dance.
Oh yeah.
Baby, it's been a long day.
All right, now you're gonna make us have to edit the YouTube and make sure I reference it because I pulled up on YouTube. I have a song I wanted to play at the beginning, but I forgot. It has a good. I like it's like old school sound to it. All right, Alexa, turn the music off. All right, so I mean, I want to respect y'all's time. We can talk as much as you want to, but we've got the last 6 minutes here. We touched on a few of the things that Gabe had put in there. Because of what John's going to be doing, I had a funny one where I was amused by it because now that you're married, I'm going to ask for my own shits and giggles. So have you and your wife had that discussion of like, let's say you pass before her, how long is she supposed to mourn you?
Yeah, we've had that conversation.
Okay, so how long is she supposed to mourn you?
Forever.
Yeah, forever. Okay.
Forever.
Does it work both ways, or?
Yeah, she's told me that God forbid she passes away, that I will be mourning her forever, and she will come back. She will come back. She will come back to haunt you.
But I think that's an adult conversation, and I'm sorry, like the part of this was dating in your 40s. And I was telling someone some of the questions I had, and I was like, I think it's a valid question. I don't think people think that far ahead. And when you're going through it with someone, it's like, if you didn't ask that question, if you didn't have that conversation, did you really have depth in mind when it comes to your long term?
No, it's not. It's not something that I would say you dwell on.
Not dwelling.
But it's always one of those things where I like to always be prepared. So in being prepared, you have to think worst case scenario. So that's definitely worst case scenario. So for that, you have to have that discussion so that so you're in alignment. So it's not somebody thinks that, oh, you ain't never moving on. And he's like, well, I do want to move on eventually. But so you just have to have that full disclosure conversation.
So the
and
other
be comfortable with it as well.
I kind of want to ask too, because we all mentioned, like you mentioned what your mom would say about things. John kind of talked about, what he's experienced, and I've said I'm his friend, so I talk to him about stuff. Gabe and I will express frustrations to one another, but I'm just curious, like, did the two of you assess what your relationship was like when you were doing that getting to know you phase? How important was it for you to know, like, what is their relationship like with her family, her mom, her dad, whoever, her friends, all that?
Absolutely. Like, you have to, if you're going to make, as I call it, because I playfully, but it's a real joke. It's a serious joke, as I like to say. It's a legally binding relationship. Mm-hmm. So when you're getting into a legally binding relationship, you should be turning over all of the stones and asking all of the questions.
Due diligence.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have to understand what her relationship is like with her family, her friends, her co-workers, and everything. Because if one of those things are off, then you have to see if she's the common denominator or he's the common denominator in what's going on. So again, you have to ask questions. Because I think the name of the book is called 10,000 Questions for Getting to Know Anyone and Everyone.
Oh, my friend too. He has 1,000 questions to ask before you get engaged. My first boyfriend ever. I was like, "What's the name of that book?" And because he called off his engagement, or she called off the engagement because he said he didn't want any more kids. I was like, "Y'all didn't have. She been with you like 7 years. Y'all didn't." Anyway, sorry. Your book is 10,000.
So it's 10,000 Questions for Getting to Know Anyone and Everyone. Okay. And it goes into a whole lot of, like, every topic you can imagine. And it's not just relationship wise. It could be if you're trying to interview somebody, just getting to know somebody. So it's just a good reference point. And then you can introduce that if you're in a relationship and you're getting to know somebody, and just really understand where somebody's mindset is at when they're thinking about stuff. But back to what you were saying, if you don't get along with their family or they don't get along with your family, it's a very, very tough road. And it's not something that you probably would want to travel, because not having that support of your friends or your family is tough in any situation, let alone when you're trying to have a fruitful relationship.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy you say that, because I was like, when I look at some people's families, I'm like, man, the first thing that pops in my head is like, okay, is that family gonna always ask me for money? Do I gotta take care of everybody else? Then you realize I am marrying this family, and it's gonna be 20 different people that's gonna come to me because, oh, well, he's the savior, right? And then it comes down to alignment and where you at, and that's whole different topic of like, okay.
But you also touched on it already too, John, when you were talking about a person and their healing and their traumas and their path. And so I kind of brought it up again, but I also knew in my mind, I'm like, John did touch on it, but we didn't really go into it. And then Gabe, I know a lot more about Gabe, and the fellas don't know each other as well as I know all three of them, because, I picked the guests. But like, Gabe's family background is totally different than mine. And when he shared with me, I was just like, oh, that's interesting. Like, and when he came to Chicago fairly recently, I was a little frustrated with myself because I was spreading myself too thin. But when he told me which of his family he was going to visit, I was like, wow, that's really cool. And when I looked at the pictures, but sometimes people will judge your background. Like, again, to Gary's point about you've got to develop and build in that, because one thing is I always say, don't judge a book by its cover. Like, I present a certain way, but once you get to know me, I saw some post about, do people say, oh, once you get to know her, she's really nice. And in other words, they're saying she's really a bitch, but if she likes you, you're good. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of my take from what you were talking about here. I don't know, Gabe, if you want to add anything. I know you're muted.
No, as far as that is concerned, no. I mean, I can't see why anyone would say anything less about you. You're always full of life, and you just have a kind spirit about you. So I don't see why anyone would say that about you.
But I'm 10 toes down for my friends, though. So thank you for that, Gabe. But I think Gary knows that about me. John knows that about me. If anybody messes with my friends, you will see me cop an attitude and have something to say. Like, I do have a good spirit, but I think people take kindness for weakness. Like with what John's talked about is, I think people take his kindness for weakness. With Gary, I love that we've got Taurus energy. We're firm in some ways about, like, I don't want to, I won't do it. Like, you can talk to me all day long, talk to me in circles. And like I said, I'll smile and I'll try. I'm like, that's cute. That's nice. Like,
Gary's all about the no.
No, I'm saying, like, the thing is like you have to really stand firm and no, because a lot of times what people don't understand, as I say this and I communicate this all the time, my yeses are yeses, my no's are no's. And when I say I'll think about it, I'm truly thinking about it. But if I say no, it's not a starting point.
And I respect that. All right, guys. So I want to respect your time. I want to thank you for coming. If there's anything you've got coming up that you want people to know about, please share it, because Gary actually does have a podcast, the Just Say F It podcast. I'm not sure when the next episode will be airing or anything like that. Gabe does a lot of interesting things as well. He mentioned maybe I would come on his platform, so we still have to talk a little bit more about that. John will be at the Cocktails and Conversation on MLK Day, and I believe he's also going to be the Sunday before MLK Day. I think he's coming to they're both R&B Factory live podcast recordings. The one on Sunday is more music focused. We're going to have the artist that does the song Pot Liquor. Slick J Adams is his name. But apparently this song, like, I've listened to it. It's a great song. One of the other DJs I follow put it on his list of, like, hot tracks to keep an eye out for. So John will be attending that, and he's going to be speaking again there, because John is an awesome sauce person, and I really appreciate whenever I'm like, do you want to? He's usually like, okay, I'll help you out. So yeah, anything you guys have got going on, please share. Gary, when is the Say F It podcast?
My podcast is on hiatus.
Why? Because you got married?
No, it was just life be lifing.
Okay.
I get that.
But you can still support him by going on, YouTube. We keep the videos up there, y'all. Just go press the video, give him some likes, and it's helpful. Gabe, I know that you actually like to empower people and educate them as well. What you got going on?
I've been kind of on a hiatus as well, I guess. But
Gabe's gonna make music for you guys. I told him I wanted to hear some new music.
I've been putting that to the side as well. But
Gabe,
right now, what I've been, I have my YouTube channel that I've been focusing on. It's about financial management and pathfinding, illuminating the path to wealth, making better decisions with your finances. And,
what's the YouTube channel handle?
It's Prosper G.
Prosper G. All
Prosper
right.
G. So yeah, just telling people the experiences that I've been through and how to recover from certain situations, and just offer, basic financial management skills and tactics and things like that in order to, come out ahead financially. So, but I haven't really posted anything in a while. The YouTube algorithm sometimes is brutal. Sometimes you could post something and it'll be like perfect. You'd be like, this is gonna, people are gonna want to hear this, and then nobody. And then you post something that's like, I don't think people are really gonna feel this, and then everybody's all over it. So,
but I have to up Gabe because knowing Gabe as long as I have, I remember when he left Hawaii and he gave himself such a hard time. And I was like, honestly, you just gave someone a new business to grow and nurture and develop in an island that welcomes them, and you're going to do something else great. And when any of us go on hiatus, I think what people need to understand, this has nothing to do with dating, or maybe it does, because some people judge you for hiatus. I'm sorry, but being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, being a creative, doing a lot is draining, and we need to go on hiatus to reset and to come back stronger. And when it comes to dating, I'm sorry, but okay, let me just say some radio people. I'm sorry, I have to call y'all out. If my radio people keep talking about, I want the money, I want the bag, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but the people with the bag can read through that. And sometimes we're like, you just want us, you're just trying to take from us. Like, we want something of more value. And in order for us to create something of value, we go on hiatus. And when we're on hiatus and you think we're not making the bag, it's none of your damn business. Okay. So for all of us here where we're like, this is on hiatus, when we come back, it's coming back strong. And whether if you can't support me at my lowest, I don't fucking want you around me. I do, but I don't, because I'm going to take your money then. But I'm just saying. That's just my thought on it. So Gabe, you're going to come out with some awesome stuff. And when you do, we're going to talk again. I'm not going to do like Gary did me though. Maybe I just need to do some more check-ins. I'll own that. I should have checked a little bit more about how many friends are doing. That's my accountability. I'm sorry I didn't ask Gary. I'm glad I finally asked.
It's all love.
I know it is. All right, John, what about you? Anything else besides what we already talked about?
Nah, we're good. I mean, hey, I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. I appreciate you supporting me. There's going to be so much stuff. I don't think I'm going to get in trouble. So all y'all know the R&B Factory got syndicated. It is going to be on Monday through Friday on Big Radio. So the reason why I decided to go ahead in 2025 and do the Firestarters podcast again is because honestly, Firestarters is going to be on Tuesdays. We're most likely going to do R&B Factory live on Thursdays, and then the recording for the radio is on Sunday, but it'll be played that syndication that Monday through Friday. And we're actually aiming for a different syndication. So all the people I'm bringing on here are quality people. They're amazing people that are doing amazing things. We don't, like Gabe said, the YouTube algorithm, it baffles us. But at the end of the day, sometimes the old shit blows up later on. So again, go back and look at Say F It podcast. Go ahead and check out Prosper G. John's got some amazing things in the works. And my friends will come back and support if I call them up and ask them if they got married. So I'm going to ask you next, Gabe, because apparently I missed the boat with Gary. But he did send me one little pic, y'all. Y'all know I like pictures. He sent me one little picture. It was cute. It was cute. Mm-hmm. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. It was an all guys panel tonight. I'm gonna get the ladies in because I know I'm not your typical. My mindset is a little different than most women. Like, you ladies want the bag. Okay, I get it. Lotto got big dick energy, and Mariah Carey's always been a diva. I get it. But y'all, I'm tired. I got kids, so I let the youngins come tell y'all what their mindset is because I don't get it. Well, I tried to understand one chick, but she was special. She was a nurse. Anyhow.
At the end of the day, just don't be like Joy Taylor. That's what we say.
Oh,
who's that?
Don't worry about it.
Who's Joy Taylor?
Google.
Alexa, who's Joy Taylor?
Do the Googles.
According to Wikipedia, Joseph William John Taylor is a professional footballer.
That's who we're talking about?
Moses.
No, Joy
It's a
Joy
Joy,
Taylor
a
from
girl.
FS1.
It's an American TV host, y'all. I don't know. But
Well,
I'm not Joy
when-
Taylor,
when-
apparently.
when
A
you
first
look it
appearance
up,
since
you're gonna be
Bombshell
like,
Fox. Is she like the
You
lady,
just
the
gotta do your
girl who married
research.
the white man?
you just got to do your Googles. Your Googles won't
No,
steer you
because if
wrong.
she's misrepresenting women, I'm just like, I don't like to know what the people who misrepresent women are doing. I'd be like, just ignore the trash.
Yeah. I mean, she
on.
definitely mess. You know, when it comes to a black woman, a modern woman, hey, you know, it's bad. But you know what? People
She's
want
like
what they
Candace
want.
Owens and Stacey Dash. She worse than those two? Same par.
She was more successful.
She's most successful at what she was doing.
At what she was doing, she got fired.
Nah,
Google.
just
Google
go.
won't steer you wrong.
I'm gonna Google her, but then I'm not gonna like her. Like, okay, so honestly, John told me about some chick, and I had never met her, and I was like, I don't like her. Then I met her, I was like, I'm gonna try to like her. John, do I like her?
I don't know.
He wants me to like her. I like her because John told me to.
No, you didn't. It wasn't me. It was like you like to help people like me.
I do. Everybody deserves a shot, y'all. Seriously, though. Whoever this Joy person is sounds like she needs some healing. We talked about this, y'all. She has some trauma and needs some healing. That's what I gather. And I look forward to doing this again, gentlemen. But y'all have a great evening, and thanks again.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In the private chat, I'm gonna end the stream, but if Gabe, those topics you want to talk about, we can stay in the private chat. Good night, everybody else. But
Night.
Peace.
Good night.